A historic spending bill passes through President Biden's desk when you can expect the stimulus check to hit your bank account.
The United States approaches 100 million vaccinations, how one vulnerable group is passing under the radar.
The U of A has already vaccinated over 5,000 graduate students, faculty, and staff. Find out if you can qualify for the COVID vaccine. UATV starts right now.
Welcome to this edition of UATV News. I'm Lexi French.
And I'm Sydney Brooks. Thanks for joining us. The Pat Walker Health Center administers COVID-19 vaccines to those who qualify in the 1B category, but many students are unsure when they can get their shots. Rebecca Pipes is live to tell us more. Rebecca?
That's right, Sydney. I received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine on Tuesday before any of my friends who work in person have gotten theirs. And so it made me wonder when the rest of the student body at the U of A can receive their COVID vaccines.
I'm really frustrated, especially with not being able to get it working in person, and then they're talking about lifting the mask mandate.
Caitlin Baker, a student at the U of A and employee at a store in the Fayetteville Square, has experienced difficulty finding a way to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Has really been stressing me out because then I'm gonna have like tens or hundreds of people come in the store every day, and I'm just exposed to that now when I haven't even gotten the chance to get the vaccine yet.
Chancellor Steinmetz told me that the U of A will continue to get shipments of the vaccines throughout the coming months.
Goal really is let's get, by the end of the semester, everybody that's in that group, faculty, staff, graduate students, vaccinated, and then begin the process of vaccinating as many of the rest of our student body as we can.
Nursing students are among the majority of those administering the vaccines on campus.
I really have to say what a great job our nursing students did, who were a big part of the vaccine clinics that we ran on campus, and that was one of them that I went to.
Including Grace Murphy.
People are more excited, so it's kind of different, and it makes our job more rewarding because obviously we're, one step closer to being done. So,
a nursing student who got the opportunity to give her own dad the COVID vaccine.
It was just awesome, and it was a cool moment because first of all, I never thought I'd be giving my parents shots of any kind, let alone the COVID vaccine. And it's cool because my mom already got her shot. She's a teacher. And so finally it was his turn. So I was just glad I got to be a part of it.
If everything continues as planned, then for other students like Caitlin, getting the vaccine won't be too far away.
Hopefully one way, sooner or later I'll get it.
Chancellor Steinmetz also told me that he hopes the U of A will have another mass vaccine clinic on campus where another 1,000 or so people on campus can receive the COVID vaccine. Reporting for UATV, I'm Rebecca Pipes.
Thanks, Rebecca. Students are encouraged to check the Pat Walker website for any updates regarding vaccinations for students.
The state of Arkansas recorded an additional 15,000 vaccinations today. According to the Arkansas Department of Health, nearly 730,000 doses have been given throughout the state. As of now, almost 282,000 Arkansans have been fully vaccinated.
Those looking to schedule a COVID-19 vaccination can now do so online through Washington Regional. The medical center only vaccinates eligible individuals in Phase 1 and A and 1B. Available appointments are based off of the amount of vaccines that the hospital receives from the state's Department of Health each week.
Arkansans can now call a toll-free number for assistance with COVID-19 vaccination appointments. The line opens daily for those who may struggle with online scheduling. The hotline will stay open for contact from 8 to 6 with translation services available for people that may require them.
As the U.S. approaches President Biden's goal of vaccinating 100 million Americans during his first 100 days in office, many still lack access to the vaccine. UATV's Heidi Kirk is live to tell us how one vulnerable population struggles. Heidi?
Sydney, on a rainy night like tonight, many of those that are living without shelter are seeking it. Now, this puts them at a greater risk for contracting COVID-19. But when it comes to getting the vaccine, it's not easy. While some take the opportunity to get vaccinated for granted, for others, getting an appointment is a real blessing.
Waiting lists are long and resources are limited.
Catherine Tracy was evicted from her home in early December and has been living in and out of her car ever since. With underlying health conditions, vaccination is vital for Catherine, but obstacles stand in her way.
My phone is my only resource, and that's obviously not something we can do over, over the phone.
After her truck broke down last week, transportation has become something that limits her.
Traveling is a big downfall for me without having a vehicle of my own now.
CEO of the Salvation Army, Joshua Robinette, told me that another thing that hinders the homeless is access to the internet or a cellular device to schedule an appointment.
They may or may not have a working phone, and so those are barriers.
Additionally, Robinette says that many that are living without a home feel hesitant because of their limited access to knowledge about the vaccine. Catherine says she feels some of this hesitancy, but she trusts her doctor, and when it's available for her, she'll consider getting it for her grandkids.
So they're growing up, and I don't want to miss a step of their life.
Now, in the meantime, Catherine tells me that she continues to practice COVID-19 safety precautions. Live in Fayetteville, Heidi Kirk, UATV News.
Thanks, Heidi. Washington Regional Medical Center in Fayetteville launched an online scheduling tool for patients to more easily make vaccine appointments when they become eligible. They offer additional assistance for those who need extra help over the phone.
The VA healthcare system announced a drive-through and walk-in vaccine clinic in Fayetteville this week. Veterans must bring their VA ID for verification. The drive-through clinic in the primary care entrance area will remain open tomorrow. On Saturday, the walk-in clinic will be open for veterans from 10 to 2.
President Joe Biden signed the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill into law this afternoon. The American Rescue Plan made its way to the president's desk following a vote to pass the bill in the House yesterday. Biden says that Americans made it clear that they support the effort the bill makes to rebuild the country's foundation.
This historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance.
The relief package includes stimulus payments to most Americans that total up to $1,400. Payments are expected to go out sometime this month.
Minutes ago, President Joe Biden began his first primetime address to the nation. In his speech, President Biden calls on all states to make every adult eligible for vaccination by May 1st. He also set a goal for Americans to gather in small groups by the 4th of July. The address comes on the one-year anniversary of the CDC declaring COVID-19 to be a pandemic.
Oklahoma joins a list of several states like Texas and Mississippi that lifted mask mandates in recent weeks. Governor Kevin Stitt announced that tomorrow the state would end its mask mandate in state buildings and open businesses 100%. Governor Stitt says that the increased vaccine supply allowed him to make this decision. And earlier this month, Governor Asa Hutchinson announced his guidelines for repealing the mask mandate here in Arkansas.
UATV decided to take a look at the latest numbers from the Arkansas Department of Health to see how the state stacks up against the governor's guidelines. One of Hutchinson's requirements looks at testing. If 7,500 tests are administered daily and the positivity rate stays below 10%, Hutchinson would lift the mandate. This graphic from the Arkansas Department of Health shows that so far this month, tests have rarely exceeded 7,500. Instead, they've hovered around 5,000 cases each day. Positivity rates for PCR tests are below 10%, though they sit at nearly 17% for antigen tests.
Governor Hutchins said if less than 7,500 tests are administered daily, he would look at hospitalization. If less than 750 Arkansans are in the hospital as a result of COVID-19, he will lift the mandate. This graphic from ArkansasCovid.com shows that Arkansas's hospitalization numbers do meet the governor's criteria to lift the mandate. Since early February, hospitalizations have remained below 750.
While Governor Hutchinson may repeal the statewide mask mandate at the end of the month, it will continue to remain in effect in Fayetteville. City Mayor Lionel Jordan says the mandate would be in place until the City Council repeals it. During a meeting, Board of Health members agreed early April would be too early to lift the restrictions.
McCartney, Madonna, and Murdoch. Find out what this U of A professor has in common with these award winners coming up.
And with baseball season in full swing, the university increases stadium capacity. How you can buy some peanuts and Cracker Jacks and call those hogs.
Voters hit the polls weeks before Election Day.
The line was all the way around this parking lot yesterday morning.
The turnout after day one early voting.
Graduates get the chance to make the walk.
I think it's cool that we actually get to have one.
How you can reserve your spot in the ceremony.
Fayetteville residents are having a hard time paying their rent during COVID. Find out how one division of the city of Fayetteville is helping them out. UATV starts now.
Welcome to this Tuesday night broadcast of UATV. I'm Sydney Brooks.
And I'm Tristan Hill. Thanks for joining us. Over 6,000 people voted on the first day of early voting in Washington County. That number totals 2,000 more voters than the last general election in 2016. Over 2,000 of the votes came from people over the age of 55. The Quorum Courtroom in Springdale Civic Center received the highest number of votes.
With early voting numbers up, some experts think the total number of votes cast in this election will also increase. Early voting serves as a way for voters to cast their ballot even if they can't on Election Day. Voters in Arkansas will vote on a variety of ballot issues, local and state election races, and the presidency. Fayetteville Mayor Lionel Jordan says he expects record numbers compared to previous elections.
I think we're going to see more people vote in this election than that I have seen since I have been running for public office, which is almost 20 years ago.
Early voting continues in the state of Arkansas until November 2nd, or the Monday before Election Day.
Residents of Washington County have plenty of options when it comes to early voting locations. Availability varies by site, and you can check each location's hours on the Washington County website. Some sites have limited hours, including Bud Walton Arena, the only early voting site on campus. Early voting ends November 2nd. And with Bud Walton Arena operating as an early voting location, the chancellor urges students to utilize it. Chancellor Steinmetz said, quote, "Your voice matters, your vote matters, and voting affects our lives in Fayetteville just as much as it affects national politics, perhaps even more," end quote. You can vote at Bud Walton Thursday through Sunday this week.
Upcoming election deadlines quickly approach in Northwest Arkansas. In-person absentee ballot drop-offs in November 2nd at the end of business hours. Absentee ballots submitted by mail must arrive no later than November 3rd. Early voting in Arkansas began yesterday and continues through November 2nd.
Students who live outside of Arkansas should keep their home state's early voting deadlines in mind. To vote early in Texas, you must do so by October 30th. Students who live in Oklahoma must vote by 2 o'clock on the 31st, and early voting in Tennessee will end 5 days before Election Day on the 29th.
Absentee voters can now vote from the comfort of their cars. The Washington County Election Commission offers drive-through ballot drop-offs. Absentee ballot voters can drive up and deposit their ballots curbside every Saturday this month. In order to turn in your ballot curbside, voters must show ID. Voters still have 2 more weeks to submit their ballot at the county courthouse.
The governor delivered his weekly remarks virtually via Zoom due to a possible exposure to COVID-19. He tested negative on Monday but remained virtual out of an abundance of caution. His remarks addressed COVID-19 cases throughout the state as well as levels of unemployment across Arkansas. The governor says unemployment caused by the pandemic continues to decrease.
Our unemployment rate in Arkansas went from 7.4% down to 7.3% this last month. That is great news for Arkansans.
The governor says over the last 24 hours, the state of Arkansas reported over 600 new cases and 14 new deaths.
The Pat Walker Health Center reports 4 new COVID-19 cases. 3 of the new cases come from staff. The other comes from an on-campus contractor or vendor. That makes a total 24 active cases. Students account for the remaining 20 cases. The campus has seen more than 1,700 total recoveries.
COVID caused over 1,700 people in Fayetteville to lose their job, and it's affecting their ability to pay rent. So the Community Resources Department is helping people to pay their bills while they're out of work. UATV's Jonathan Teal is live with the story. Jonathan.
Thanks, Tristan. In July, the Community Resources Department helped over 160 households pay their rent and other bills. Now they're getting ready for the second round of funding. The Community Resources Department is expected to receive over $500,000 from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is double the amount that they received in the first round of funding. One Community Resources employee says that people are still having a hard time getting back to work. So when they receive a call saying that they're getting money to pay their rent, they are elated.
There were so many times that we called people and let them know that they had qualified and that they were going to get the funding, and they would cry, not so much because they were sad, because they were so relieved.
Fields says that their biggest concern is helping people pay their rent while they're out of work. She also says that the Community Resources Department wants to help people pay their rent now so they don't have to play catch up when they get their job back. She also says that she estimates over 250 households will be helped out during the second round of funding. For UATV, I'm Jonathan Teal.
Thanks, Jonathan. The Community Resources Department is hoping to reopen applications for funding in November.
University officials removed a protest painting displayed on campus. The painting read, "We don't care about your health, we just want your wealth." Art student Jacob Campbell says the painting protests the university not lowering tuition during a pandemic. Campbell placed it on the corner of Maple and Garland.
To Chancellor Steinmetz and the board or trustees who made these decisions that negatively affect low-income students like myself, I'm not done, and I won't be until there is some fundamental change that happens to better the lives of all students.
The university does not allow the display of personal or non-academic art.
The University of Arkansas announced virtual and live commencement ceremonies for all 2020 graduates. Students must register their attendance by November 6th to participate in their college's live commencement ceremony. All guests, students, and staff will need to social distance and wear masks. One U of A senior expresses how she feels about in-person graduation.
I was really excited. I think it's good to have some normalcy. Even though we have all this COVID stuff going on. But I was really excited.
Students can download the University of Arkansas graduation app on Google Play or the App Store for more details on graduation and commencement.
The Associated Student Government announced this year's Homecoming King and Queen last Friday. Homecoming Week events look different this year due to COVID-19 pandemic. The King and Queen announcement took place at a small pep rally at the Chi Omega Greek Theater. Katie Gartner says it's an honor to receive the title of Homecoming Queen.
So a tradition that's lasted that long is really special to get to be a part of. Even more special that this year we were still able to continue that amid everything that's going on. Really just an honor to represent the university in this way. And I can't wait to come back in future years and continue celebrating.
The Associated Student Government organizes all homecoming court elections.
It brings the differences together, and because they're so different, it just really works so well.
A new art exhibit aims to promote diversity. What one local artist's work examines.
A local business works to make sure everyone can have a quality mask. Find out how they are helping the community of Fayetteville coming up.